Hello and welcome to Team 5's video overview of Project 2. Our locker is called iLocker, and in order to present its key features, we here have a synchronized overview of the iLocker app, our physical mockup, and the 3D model with animations. Throughout this video, I will be pausing and unpausing this overview in order to explain the locker's features in detail. To start off with, when you first walk up to the locker, the first thing you can see is if the locker is currently occupied or not. And the way you can see this is if the light is green or red. In our case, the light is green, so it is available for rental. We can also see that the locker has a small OLED screen, and when the door is closed, as it is now, the screen will display a joke of the day, which it fetches from the internet. Now, when you scan the QR code that's on the locker, you are greeted by the welcome page from the app that's currently displayed on screen right now. Here, you can also see if the locker is available if you are not physically present at the locker's location. Now, if we try to start a rental, you'll see here that you have to input a few details in order to start the rental. You have to input your username, your email, and a password that you will later use to log into the app in order to manage your rental. And lastly, you can choose how many hours you want to rent the locker for. The more hours, the pricier it's going to get. The maximum amount of hours you can rent it for is 48 hours. And when we start the rental, you can see that the locker opens the door and the availability LEDs turn to red. As you can see, the app briefly shows an open locker door and it reminds you that you have to close the door after use. Furthermore, you will get an email that tells you that you have now rented the locker and gives you your password in case you forget it. You will also receive an email 1 hour before your rental ends in order to remind you that you have to come get your stuff. Before we continue, we can also see that the OLED has now changed what it's displaying. It is now greeting me with my username, and it's reminding me to close the door after I use the locker. Now, when we close the door again, we can see that the OLED goes back to displaying a joke. Now, in the meantime, we can also see that the app has changed what it's displaying. It has changed its status so that now it says that the locker is occupied, and it's also now asking us if we want to manage our locker. We do this by logging in with our password, whereafter we now can choose if we simply want to open the door to the locker or if we want to open the door and end our rental. As you just saw, when I choose open locker, the door opens, but my rental still continues, and so the availability LED is still red. As you might have noticed, our setup also includes an RFID sensor. Now this is for the master key. At any given point in time, if you have the master key, you can open the locker by simply swiping the card over the sensor. And obviously, as a master key, this works both when the locker is available and unavailable. Now, when we want to end our rental, we log in again with our password, and then we click on Open Locker and End Rental. This will open the door and change the LED status to green because now the locker has become available again for somebody else to rent. Now that the rental has ended, we can see that the OLED screen no longer greets us with our username when the door is open. It simply reminds us just to close the door so that everybody else can enjoy that sweet joke of the day while the locker is not being used. Now I will shortly explain how the system is set up and how the code works. Our system is made up of 2 Node MCUs that control the locker, a Node Red setup that controls the app, and an MQTT server that carries messages between the app and the Node MCUs. Now we have chosen to build the system so that almost all of the actual rental logic is based in our Node Red setup. This means that our Node MCUs are very basic by themselves. They simply react to whatever request that the Node Red app sends to the MQTT server. From here, one Node MCU controls the locker functionalities and one controls the OLED screen. As an example, we can look at what happens when someone rents the locker. Here, the Node Red app sends a request through MQTT to open the locker and change the availability from free to occupied. The Node MCUs, whose code is constantly looping and checking for these requests to come in, then acts accordingly by signaling the relay to open the locker and by changing which LED is turned on. The only information that is sent from the Node MCU to MQTT is when the door is opened. This way, the app can confirm that the locker has actually opened, and the OLED MCU can now know when to display the joke and when to display the closed door reminder. As for the Node Red app itself, it has 2 basic states. One where the locker is available and the start rental screen is displayed, and another where the locker is unavailable and the access your locker screen is displayed. Lastly, The Node Red app also handles fetching the joke from a Joke of the Day API, and it sends out emails notifying customers of their rental. Alright, we here at Team 5 hope that this video has given you a basic understanding of how the iLocker works, and we thank you very much for watching.